In this program, we meet the people who, as a result of Africa's poaching crisis, have struck up close bonds with one of the world's most endangered animals. In Costa Rica, we find out why scientists think that these capuchin monkeys have the strongest team spirit in the animal kingdom. In South Africa, we're investigating how vultures, nature's most infamous scavengers, are more vital than vile and are saving lives. Also in the USA, we discover how acupuncture is improving a rare pig's relationship problems. But first, we're heading to the rainforests of Thailand, where a clever matchmaking technique is saving one of our most stunning big cats from extinction, the clouded leopard. They were once common in the rainforests of Southeast Asia, but today, as their habitat is disappearing, only a few thousand remain in the wild, and this elusive cat could soon be extinct. The clouded leopard is one of the most difficult cats to breed in captivity. But here at a breeding project in Khao Kyu, a revolutionary matchmaking program is improving the relationships between their captive cats. Project leader Bill Wood is giving big cat expert Giles Clark an opportunity to get close to these stunning creatures.
They are just so agile, aren't they?
Absolutely.
They're just amazing. So beautiful. Clouded leopards make this extraordinary noise in exactly the same way as what a tiger does. It's called a chuff or a proostin, and it's their way of greeting and showing affection.
Giles's tigers chuff to him as a greeting, but can he chuff back in clouded leopard?
Hello.
They seem to like his chuffing, because this head licking is also a sign of affection.
Hey. Just when you pat them, you can feel just how immensely strong they are. And really, these guys are perfectly adapted for a life in the trees.
Clouded leopards have one of the longest tails in the cat family, giving them exceptional balance. Short, strong legs mean they have a low center of gravity, and their broad, powerful paws are perfectly suited to climbing. They're tailor-made for the rainforest, but that forest has all but disappeared. If we can't breed it in captivity, there's a real danger we'll lose this majestic species forever.
Clouded leopards in captivity are notoriously difficult to breed. Why do you think that's the case?
One of the main problems is male aggression to the females. Some cats, like you'll know, tigers, lions, you can often leave them together and eventually they'll breed. Institutions have tried this and they've put clouded leopards together and come back in the next morning, the female's dead.
Because they are so elusive, no one has ever witnessed how clouded leopards breed in the wild. In the past, attempts by other breeding programs resulted in serious injury to the females. Bill's team is pioneering a new breeding technique, and it's very simple. Instead of introducing male and female leopards to each other when they are sexually mature adults, Bill plays matchmaker and brings them together as cubs.
When we introduce them at such a young age, they get incredibly well bonded together. And as they grow up, there seems to be no real aggression. They love playing together. Because they get on so well, they go on to breed and not have that male aggression problem.
This technique of introducing unrelated male and female cubs at a very young age is known as pair bonding. This bond continues into adulthood, reducing the likelihood of aggression and increasing the chances of successful mating.
How successful is this technique of having cubs?
It's actually incredibly successful. Virtually all the pairs that we've put together have gone on and bred successfully.
One of Bill's most effective pairings is Jiao Nai and Maximus.
Really appreciating each other's company, clearly.
Since they were introduced as cubs, these two have parented no less than 3 litters.
Look at that. I mean, you can see how well that pair get on.
Just so affectionate towards one another.
Yeah.
Before this centre was set up, very few clouded leopards were born in captivity. This pioneering programme alone has produced 70 cubs.
Might get ambushed again.
Oh,
And these cubs have been sent to zoos all over the world to strengthen the gene pool of this vulnerable species.
The goal now is to make sure that they stay genetically stable and we have a healthy captive population as a safeguard.
so all this hard work is about trying to create a sustainable population.
Yeah, I mean, look what's happened to some of the tiger subspecies that are now extinct. Maybe if they'd had a core population in captivity, there might be a chance of re-releasing the Javan tiger or something like that. But once they're gone,
They're gone for good.
Yeah.
Hello. Where did you come from? Hello.
This is the most successful breeding programme for clouded leopard anywhere in the world.
Gorgeous. This is truly the most amazing cat experience I've ever had.
With this technique of pair bonding, what was once one of the world's most difficult of breeding programs is now starting to have positive results. And thankfully, the future of this beautiful species is looking a lot brighter. Next, we're traveling 11,000 miles to the forests of Costa Rica to see how extraordinary bond testing rituals between monkeys is amazing the scientific community. These are white-faced capuchins, one of the most successful and most sociable monkey species in this part of Central America. Biologist Kyle Van Atta is part of a research team who've studied and logged the behavior of the capuchins here almost continuously for 25 years.
Focal looks at Quixote.
Today, he's on the trail of a group of monkeys known as the Flake Troop, and Kyle catches the attention of the alpha male, who they've named Quixote.
I love aggressive threat Quixote to me. He's threatening us right now.
The monkeys are used to the researchers being around, but Quixote's still keen to show them who's boss, and to make his point, he calls in some backup.
You see him looking to Madison. That is what we call a head flag. He looked forward and looked back at the threat. It's kind of like a call for help. They pick up on each other's actions and they'll see a threat approaching the group and they will team up against the threat for the greater good of the entire group. And that's the key to their success.
Quixote is joined by Madison and they start overlording, buddying up to intimidate their foes. This two-headed monster will scare off most rivals.
So this behavior we're seeing over here is a social coalition. We've deemed it overlording. We have two monkeys stacking up on top of each other in a totem pole-like position, and they're threatening. They're both showing their fangs. They're trying to look big and scary and just keep threats and predators away.
Kyle and other researchers have spotted this troop acting in an even more extraordinary way.
One of the biggest findings of this project are the bond testing rituals that we're seeing between individuals. They can include things like a monkey putting its finger in another monkey's eye, maybe up its nose and its mouth. It's crazy. They almost go into like a trance while they do it. We know it takes a certain level of trust and loyalty on the part of the capuchins. This is a dangerous behavior they're engaging in. You know, they have these incredibly sharp, long nails that they use in fights with other monkeys.
Whenever they saw it, researchers tried to film this mysterious, trance-like behavior. Now they have a theory. They believe these are social rituals invented by the capuchins to reinforce relationships, friendships, and create trust between them.
If monkeys can engage in this behavior, it gives them the opportunity to see how they stand socially with this other monkey. It gives them an idea of, will this monkey back me up in a time when I need him? If I'm willing to put myself on the line and accept this dangerous activity from him, and he doesn't hurt me, then I know when a real threat comes, he's likely to help me out in that situation.
These bond testing rituals haven't been seen in any other animals. After tracking the monkeys for another 2 hours, Kyle approaches a small clearing and thinks he spots something. It's 2 other members of the troop, Winnie the Pooh and young Jeezy. It looks like they're performing one of the rituals.
There's a large social order in Capuchin society. You have a few key central alpha individuals and a lot of lower ranking individuals. The higher ranking individuals need the help of the lower rankers to maintain their dominant position, and the lower ranking individuals need the help of the dominant individuals to just survive daily life and to climb the ranks as well.
For Capuchin monkeys, knowing who you can trust is absolutely essential, because they need to work together to find food, to raise each other's babies, and to defend the troop from rival monkeys and predators. The scientists think that the Capuchins perform these bond-testing rituals because they have a greater need to test their friendship than most other species. Their friendships and teamwork are critical to their survival, making them one of the most socially cooperative primates on the planet. Next, we're heading to the USA, where at Louisville Zoo in Kentucky, alternative medicine is helping to improve a rare pig's relationship issues. Zoologist Lucy Cook is with curator of mammals Jane Ann Franklin to meet the patient who's been suffering from sore knees.
This is Albus.
He's a 6-year-old male called Albus, and he is one of the world's most unusual animals. Albus is a babirusa.
Hello, nice to meet you, sir. You really are an extraordinary looking animal.
Babirusas are probably the oddest looking pigs on the planet, and one of its rarest. They originate from Indonesia, but deforestation and overhunting has decimated the wild population. They are now an endangered species with only 5,000 left in the wild, which is why Jane Ann is keen for Albus to breed.
Can I hand feed him? I can hand feed you. Oh! Just remember to let go of the peanut. This is the way to Babirusa's heart. Hand feeding peanuts. You are extraordinary looking. I don't mean that in a rude way, Albus. I think you're gorgeous.
With his liking for peanuts and his plump posture, it's hard not to fall for this peculiar porker.
Albus has already stolen my heart.
He steals everybody's heart.
Jane Ann doesn't just want this toothy stud to wow the crowds. It's essential that he captures the attention of Patrice, the resident female.
So he's got an important job to do. He needs to help save his species.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Albus is in the SSP, which is the Species Survival Plan, and so he's an important member of that population, and he needed to reproduce.
However, 2 years ago, Jane Ann discovered that Albus was not the fighting fit boar she needed. He had issues with his dainty legs.
They've been causing him problems, right?
Yes. About 1.5 years, 2 years ago, he started having some issues, and we started to investigate, and we found that he had a patella that slipped.
As in his kneecap?
Yes.
That sounds painful.
Yes.
The pain was clear to see. Albus was limping badly, and it was affecting his chances of breeding.
Being able to be up on his hind legs and have some stamina to mount the female was very important. So that was one of the things we were really looking to fix, was to be able to allow him to breed and breed comfortably.
When you've got an animal like that that's in pain, what do you normally do?
We could have corrected it with surgery, and that would have been the easiest part. The post-operative care would have been very difficult because he would have had to have stayed off his leg for probably 6 to 8 weeks. And it would have had a bandage, and just managing a wild animal in that situation, it just didn't seem like a viable way for us to go. So we looked into alternatives.
They turned surprisingly to acupuncture. Dr. Carrie McManus, a local vet, had successfully used it on other animals that were suffering from inflamed joints and arthritis, and was convinced this alternative treatment could help Albus. needles are carefully placed into the skin where it's thought they trigger a tiny response that relieves pain and stimulates the healing process. Carrie's been treating Albus every fortnight for the last 11 months, and today is his latest session.
Stacy, if you would let Albus in. Albus!
He clearly trusts Carrie, in spite of her needles, because he takes no time to assume the position.
Good boy.
When Carrie inserts the first needle into Albus, he becomes motionless.
So I just inserted a little bit, and then we kind of push the needle in just a little bit more. Once it's seated, what we call needle grab, then I'll twist it both directions, which allows the underlying cells to grab the needle.
This has got to be one of the most peculiar things I have ever seen. It's like he's aware that something's happening, but it doesn't look like he's in any kind of pain. He gets this kind of quiet, still look in his eyes, and he seems to be happy.
Carrie doesn't just treat Albus as a piggy pincushion. She knows precisely where to put each needle.
So I basically did a lot of research online trying to map out his anatomy and physiology of where vessels run, nerves run, how his muscles actually go, so that I could actually adjust the acupuncture points to best fit his anatomy.
Albus has just made a smell.
Yes.
He has.
A lot of these back points will also stimulate not only treating muscle pain, but they will stimulate his colon and large intestinal tract.
Albus, shift.
When the treatment is over, Albus emerges seemingly pain-free. The ultimate proof that Carrie's acupuncture was working recently came into the world.
Want a peanut?
Her name is Babs.
Probably wouldn't be here if Albus hadn't had the acupuncture.
The future of the captive Babirusa population is looking very healthy, if not a little mischievous.
How does it make you feel to see them here today?
It's awesome. It's very rewarding. It's a highlight of my career to have these guys here and to be able to share them with everybody and to be able to show them off, so to speak.
What would you say to people who are skeptical about acupuncture?
Don't knock it till you try it. Albus doesn't know that it's acupuncture, and it works for him, so.
And he's not the only one. Carrie is also using acupuncture to treat animals of all sizes, from an Indian elephant to a pygmy goat. "8,500 miles away in South Africa, scientists have discovered a very unexpected relationship between two very different animals. Remote cameras at Shushluwi Umfolosi Park in KwaZulu-Natal have captured footage that's not just amazing researchers at the park, but the online community all over the world.
The internet went wild. Our website crashed. We got so many views and so many comments on it.
A research camera in the park had captured images of a cat-like predator called a genet appearing to ride on the back of a rhino and a buffalo.
This genet has been such an internet sensation. We have nicknamed it Janet Jackson.
Wow. That was those new cameras?
Yeah, that's the new
awesome.
site. We should try and...
The first to spot Janet Jackson's antics, researchers Taryn Gilroy and Dave Druce have been trying to work out what's behind this strange relationship. The genet's bizarre behavior goes against everything we know about these animals. Genets are nocturnal, and although they resemble cats, actually belong to a separate group of carnivorous mammals. They're timid and solitary, and wouldn't normally be seen near buffaloes and rhinos.
A small predator like the genet always try to avoid conflict and bumping into other animals that can injure them or squash them. So you would think that they're trying to avoid each other. For example, if a rhino was coming down a path and the genet was on the path, the genet would just get out the way as quickly as possible. Very strange that they're even together.
What's more, by studying their different markings, the team have realized that at least 3 genets have been recorded behaving in this way.
The clarity is amazing.
Determined to find out more, Dave and Taryn set up additional cameras and finally managed to capture the genet's acrobatics on video. Once again, in the middle of the night, a genet had hitched a ride on a rhino.
Yeah. Just holding on. It's amazing.
The video held vital clues about what the genet is doing, and it's rather ingenious.
I'd probably go for the theory that it's catching something as it's coming past the rhino. This genet leans down and appears to grab an insect. The rhino is disturbed that the genet has just gone down and caught with its mouth.
As the rhino eats from the bush, it flushes out insects that the genet swoops down and catches.
Then the rhino gets a fright from the still camera that flashed. And all the while, the genet holding onto the back of the rhino into the darkness.
The genet seemed to have worked out that riding on the back of larger animals was a brilliant new way for grabbing a meal.
Animals don't do things without a reason. I think the genets figured out this is a good way of getting food every now and again, and it's just exploiting that.
These images show a highly unusual example of an animal taking advantage of, but not harming another. Dave and Taryn are now installing more cameras to see how many other genets are doing this, establishing just how widespread this intriguing and previously unknown relationship is. We're staying in South Africa to find out how an animal we associate with death could be saving lives. Vultures are the most notorious of scavengers. They're one of very few animals to feed on the carcasses of the dead. And this is why scientists think they play a crucial role in the environment, a role that is protecting us from disease. Kerry Volter from South Africa's largest vulture sanctuary and research centre is taking biologist Patrick Ayi to meet a very special tame vulture.
You're going to meet PJ, which stands for Percy Jr.
Percy Jr.
Percy Jr.
Right.
2-year-old PJ broke one of his wings when he was just a baby. He'll never be able to fly, so has become a permanent resident here at the sanctuary.
He's sitting on his own, actually.
Yeah, he looks quite big up close in person. Wow.
A little daunting.
Yeah, daunting. I'm just very aware of his presence. This is quite intimidating.
He probably can sense that, which is not a good thing. So if you want to, and if you're brave enough, you can close your fists.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. And if he wants to, just pull away from you. You know, if it gets too hard, you just pull away.
Getting nipped by a vulture.
If you want, you can take your cap off and hold it. And that's it. And then he'll try and put his head into your cap.
He is, look. He's messing around, look.
So that's very much like what they would do in a carcass.
It's really interesting, look.
Everything about PJ's anatomy makes him the perfect scavenger. His bald neck and head aren't a fashion statement, but help him stay clean as he digs into a carcass. His large beak is uniquely shaped.
You can see how he uses the tip of his beak.
It
to
is
rip
just like a
things.
hook.
It's just the tip there. And that is for hooking onto flesh and yanking it.
And even his tongue is specially adapted for the task at hand.
The tongue has razor-sharp edges, almost like sandpaper, and it strips the bone.
Nothing about these birds has been left to chance, even down to their strangely flat feet.
The reason why they're flat is they're not predatory at all. They're 100% scavengers. So their feet are only good for putting their full weight on the carcass so they can actually rip it open. Vultures cannot kill at all.
Surely they can kill small rodents or, you know, they can't kill at all.
No, they don't have that ability to.
But it's the way a vulture consumes its food that's most interesting to Kerry, making us rethink how important our relationship is with them. And the best way of seeing this is to invite 200 vultures to lunch. Kerry and Patrick are in the centre's viewing hide. On today's menu, a carcass of cow that's died from natural causes. Donated by a local farmer, it's been rigged with cameras. The idea is to lure in wild vultures and watch them feed.
We can see them circling.
It's taken just an hour for the vultures to begin to gather.
How do they find this food?
Vultures have incredible good eyesight. They can see about 6 kilometers away from them. You'll have, for example, the vulture in the front, and he'll be thermaling and he'll find the site. That triggers a vulture behind him to go, oh, hang on, that must be something where that vulture is.
After circling for 30 minutes, the first vulture lands, and it soon has backup. But nothing happens.
For me, that's really surprising. I thought that, as soon as there's a dead carcass or an animal that even looks like it's on the way out, that the vultures would be circling and just, maybe coming down and pecking them whilst they're still alive. But that's not the case at all.
No, it's what Disney likes us to believe. But it's not the case at all. They're going to make sure it's really dead, and it's kind of past dead.
Surprisingly, it's another hour before one vulture tentatively makes its move.
One just landed straight on top.
Is there some sort of order in terms of which vulture comes in first?
It's normally a female. Females are by far more dominant than males. She basically wants to just dominate the entire area.
Okay, now they're all coming in.
Yeah.
But look how many of them are. That is just incredible. Wow.
The images from the cameras give a unique vulture's eye view of what's happening.
We can see how they're using those beaks so effectively. Kerry, this is the first time you've seen how they feed from this angle.
It's spectacular. It's amazing. And you can see with the long legs how they adapt to really dig inside there. You see how they're using just their weight to kind of push themselves and kind of lean against the carcass.
Our camera's getting completely swamped. Wait, there we go. The camera's... Wow.
Surprisingly, Kerry's research has shown vultures are vital to our health. Because unlike other animals, when vultures consume meat contaminated with infections like rabies, cholera, and anthrax, once eaten, the diseases are completely eradicated. And it's all thanks to the strength of the acid in their stomachs.
Well, we've got this acid here, so why don't we actually put that to the test? So if you grab those glasses,
Okay.
I'll grab these ones. Just pop these gloves on.
Hydrochloric acid closely matches a vulture's stomach acid. To see just how corrosive it is, Kerry's going to drop in a piece of metal.
Let's see what happens.
Alrighty. Ready?
Go for it. Bubbling a little bit. That is, wow. Look at that. That is a very strong reaction. If we replace the hydrochloric acid with actual vulture stomach acid, we'd see the exact same reaction.
Yeah. You're looking at a vulture stomach that's 100 times more acidic than what a human stomach is.
So you can really see the power of that in action right here.
And what we need to remember as well is, that breaks down diseases, any kind of bacteria. Absolutely no issues for a vulture.
That is incredible.
It's taken just 1 hour for the vultures to strip the entire carcass along with any diseases that may have been present.
This is a completely different scene to how we left it.
Yeah, exactly. And do you also notice the smell's gone?
You're right, I can't really smell anything at all, really. I'm genuinely gobsmacked. When we left this carcass here, it was smelling, the belly was bloated, and all the organs, all the meat has been pecked right off those bones.
The vultures have not only eaten the virulent strains of bacteria, they've also processed and completely eradicated them from the ecosystem. And this is why we need to change our attitude towards them.
They're seen as the undertakers, and people don't actually understand their importance. The implications of losing the species is very real, and the effect of that is catastrophic for me, for you, for anyone really.
Without vultures, the spread of fatal diseases to humans increases. When India's vulture population plummeted by 99% over a 10-year period, scientists found the result was over 50,000 extra human deaths from rabies. Which brings home how important it is to rethink our relationship with this life-saving species. Just off the south coast of Victoria in Australia is Middle Island. It's uninhabited, but every summer it plays host to a visiting colony of pint-sized guests. To avoid predators, they return to the island each night under the cover of darkness. And by morning, you wouldn't know they were here at all.
See if there's anyone home.
This is the little penguin, the world's smallest, averaging 30 centimetres tall.
Yes, we've got an adult.
John Sutherland and Melanie Wells are part of a volunteer group that monitors Middle Island's population.
This one's already microchipped.
Hidden safely in underground burrows, the colony is currently doing well.
13.2.
Rightio.
But that wasn't always the case. A few years ago, a nocturnal predator arrived on Middle Island. Trapped in their burrows, exposed on the beach, the little penguins never stood a chance.
It wasn't a very pretty sight. There were just dead penguins everywhere, all over the island. I'm talking 100 penguins.
The penguins were used to threats from the sea or the sky, but this predator was different. It came from the land.
There were foxes on the mainland that worked out how to get to the island. They learnt how to swim. One of the females even taught her pups to swim out here.
Night after night, red foxes swam across, eating a few but slaughtering hundreds. Soon, just 4 penguins out of 300 remained.
Pretty much wiped out the colony.
The situation was bleak. How do you save a penguin colony from the brink of total eradication? Local government, scientists and conservationists had no answer. They needed a chicken farmer.
Eh? Fearsome mongrels.
Local farmer Swampy Marsh keeps his chickens safe from foxes using an Italian sheepdog breed known as the Maremma.
What big bad dogs you are. Yes.
Maremmas were bred to protect and live among livestock, and they have been doing this for hundreds of years. Because they are territorial, they will protect any animal that lives on their patch. In Swampy's case, his chickens. They will chase away anything perceived as a threat.
Their senses are amazing. I've sat here with a spotlight and I can't see the fox, but they know exactly where it is. It's almost like they've got infrared vision.
Following the massacre on Middle Island, Swampy made an extraordinary proposal. used these dogs to guard the remaining penguins. The government thought he was mad.
I knew they'd do it. As far as they're concerned, penguins are just chooks in dinner suits. It's no big deal.
Maremmas have been patrolling Middle Island ever since. 8-year-old sisters Judy and Tula are the current penguin guardians. They stay on the island at night, and in the morning, Phil Root, their dedicated handler, comes to check on them.
I'll come out here each day, bring the dogs some fresh water, bring them some food, feed them and water them while I'm out here, a bit of grooming, and then I'll take the dogs for a walk around the island to let the scent of these dogs in the air to keep the foxes away.
Judy and Tula were introduced to the penguins as puppies, forming a unique social bond with the birds and an instinctive link with their habitat.
These girls just protect the space they're in, protect their flock, protect their home.
As night falls, the little penguins come ashore with a belly full of fish for their chicks. Judy and Tula are guarding their flock from invaders. The project has been more successful than anyone dreamed. There hasn't been a single fox sighting on Middle Island since the dogs were introduced. The colony was one fox attack away from total extinction. Today, numbers are back up to 130. Thanks to the astonishing relationship between the Maremmas and the penguins. Man's best friend has become the penguin's great protector. Next, we're in Kenya to meet Zachariah Muta, who for the last 6 years has been looking after an extremely important elderly rhino. Sudan is the only male northern white rhino left on Earth. With a maximum lifespan of 50 years, at 42, he's the equivalent of an 80-year-old man.
I feel very close to Sudan. He's my closest friend. We don't want him to get extinct, so I really take very great care of him.
All the world's 5 species of rhinos are under threat from poachers, but none more so than the northern white. They are completely extinct in the wild. There are now only 3 left in captivity: Sudan and 2 females. These last survivors are highly protected at the Old Pejeta Conservancy in Kenya. On the black market, rhino horn is now more valuable than diamonds, so the trio are under 24-hour armed guard.
This is Sudan.
Conservationist Giles Clark has come to meet Zachariah in Sudan.
He's the last of his kind. Must feel like an awful lot of responsibility taking care of Sudan.
We really love him very much, so we really take care of him just like elderly people.
Wild male rhinos can be aggressive, but Sudan is used to his human protectors and is approachable when Zachariah is nearby.
He knows you very well.
Yeah, rhinos, they have got very good sense of smell and hearing, so they can recognize a keeper and a newcomer.
Okay.
Yeah,
so he knows the difference between us.
Yes.
He's not quite sure of me yet, but you're definitely a friend.
Yes. That's what makes me feel happy to be so close to Sudan.
The phrase "last chance to see" is often overused, but in this case, it could be true. Sudan spent most of his life in a Czech Republic zoo. He was part of a captive breeding program including the 2 females, Najin and Fatu. After 9 years of failed breeding attempts, in an ambitious last-ditch effort, they were airlifted to Africa and returned to their natural habitat in the hope they would reproduce. Richard Vine is CEO of the Conservancy.
All of them, their condition improved sort of almost overnight. So their toenails got better and stopped cracking, and their skin condition looked better. So it was obviously something that suited them about coming back to Africa.
Sudan, the only one of the trio to have been born in the wild, had a new lease of life among the other rhinos in the reserve.
He established a territory, he fought with other males in the area when he first came here. He's acted as a territorial male and he's mated, but he's never successfully got females pregnant.
Over the next 6 years, hopes that Sudan could help save his kind began to fade. As he got older, the young females began to bully him. So Sudan was moved into a retirement paddock on his own, where he now depends on Zachariah and his team for everything.
He's going blind in one eye. He's struggling to walk. So his relationship with people like Zach and other keepers is fundamentally important for his welfare. He's old. He relies upon them for his food and for company. It's enormously important.
Despite his ailments, Sudan is not in pain and has all the food, comfort, love and support an old man needs in his final years.
I better die first before Sudan. Yeah, because I don't want to lose him. I'll feel so sad. I'll feel so sad.
It's completely obvious just what a close bond Zach and Sudan have. Sudan's welfare and his psychological needs are being met by this special friendship. Tragically, at 42, Sudan's breeding days are now over. As things stand, he will be the last male northern white rhino to walk on Earth.
It's so amazing but so sad because he's too old enough, but we still had hope that he can still exist. He looks very healthy, he's in good condition, so he might live after 50.
However long Sudan has left, it's obvious that this gentle giant could not be more loved.
He's a good boy. Wow. Look at the size of that mouth. It's amazing to be this close. Such a handsome boy. I've got no idea just how significant you are.
However, there is a glimmer of hope. These rhinos are the focus of pioneering scientific endeavor, which has been used successfully with a giant panda. Existing frozen northern white rhino sperm could still be used to save the species, but the clock is ticking. Rhinos have existed for 40 million years, but it's only in the last 100 years that we have been responsible for their tragic demise. "2,000 miles away, in a secret location in South Africa, there is some encouraging news about our relationship with the southern white rhino. This is Ike. He was left for dead after poachers attacked him and removed his horn. Vet Gerard Steenkamp was first on the scene.
It's quite obvious that he was a fighter. He wanted to live. And just like in humans, I think that makes a huge difference. If you have a patient that is willing to fight.
Since then, Gerard and his team of vets have struck up a remarkable relationship with Ike. The biggest challenge was making sure Ike's wound did not get infected and healed as soon as possible. So they needed a really heavy-duty dressing that would stay on the end of a rhino's face. 8 days ago, Gerard sedated Ike and attached a state-of-the-art fiberglass dressing to his wound. Biologist Patrick Aye has joined Ranger Steve Dell to try and get a close look at the patient. He's a wild animal, so they have to be careful. As they enter the enclosure, Ike is on the far side. Any fears that Steve had that Ike was not on the mend quickly disappear as Ike's 2.5-ton bulk stirs from his slumbers.
We are going to go out.
Steve is concerned about their safety, and they make a rapid exit to the other side of the fence. Ike certainly seems to have recovered well.
It's okay, you coming to say hello, my boy? There's a good boy. Easy, my boy.
Look how magnificent he is. He's huge.
He's coming, he's coming.
They get a good look at Herat's handiwork.
That's it. I can see it's fraying a little bit, but it's still on, which is a good sign. The longer it stays on, the better, I'm sure, in terms of the healing process. He is going to be a survivor, for sure.
The dedication of Herat and his team has paid off. But tragically, Ike is unlikely to be their last patient. The rhino poaching crisis has reached a tipping point. Now, for the first time, more rhinos are being killed than are being born. These are three of the most recent casualties: PJ, Lizzie, and Monty. They're all orphans, but thanks to Amy Coy, they still have a chance.
It's heartbreaking, and it makes me angry that we can't protect the animals, that we cannot stop a young rhino from losing its mother. It's terrible. It makes you angry and it makes you sad at the same time. I get very emotional.
Amy's plan is to raise them at her farm until they are old enough to go to a reserve where they will get the protection they need. In the meantime, they seem pretty happy with their lot.
PJ, Monty, come. Come. Come, you want milk? Come. Come, let's go get milk. Come. Boys, come, come.
Baby rhinos use this high-pitched squeak to communicate with their mum. And they don't hesitate to let their human mum know when they are peckish. The babies here drink 15 litres of milk twice a day. Patrick's feeding 4-month-old Lizzie.
Come, PJ.
And do I have to squeeze it as she's suckling?
No, she'll suck.
She'll suck it
all
up.
by herself, yeah.
Wow. You are a hungry girl, aren't you? It's remarkable to think that this whole poaching crisis comes down to this right here. The rhino horn is made out of keratin, the same material that horses' hooves are made out of, and even our fingernails. So really, it is worthless.
There is no doubt that we are responsible for the plight of this majestic animal. Thanks to Zachariah, Herat, and Amy, there are at least some rhinos that are safe for now. If we can save this iconic species, then there may be hope for the many other endangered animals with which we share the planet.